Hello and welcome to GOGI Yoga for Small Spaces. I'm Coach Amy Rose.
I'm GOGI Yoga Coach Teni. GOGI Yoga for Small Spaces incorporates the GOGI life tools into a yoga practice.
Today we're going to be focusing on the GOGI tool Boss of My Brain.
Boss of My Brain is a tool that's about taking control of your thoughts and knowing that you are the boss of your brain. And to do that, you need to know what the parts of your brain are so you can better direct your thoughts and take control of those thoughts. So place one hand on your forehead. Underneath your hand is the smart part of your brain. This is where you form smart and positive decisions and thoughts. Place your hands over your ears. In between your two hands is your emotional part of your brain where you form emotions. When you use Boss of My Brain, you become more aware of that part of your brain. If you place your hands on the base of your skull, behind your neck, that is the old habit part of your brain, where you store emotions, memories, and old habits.
So as we move through the GOGI yoga practice, the smart part of the brain is activated. You are aware, you're present with your breath, perhaps learning something new. And it's a wonderful opportunity to become aware of when the emotional part of the brain also becomes active. Some of the poses might bring up some emotions, sometimes emotions of frustration, sometimes emotions of sadness, sometimes emotions of happiness. And when we have that awareness coming from the smart part of the brain, we're able to allow those emotions to come up without getting carried away in the drama of them. Sometimes memories come up from the old habit part of the brain, especially as we're working with the breath and the quieter parts of the sequence. And the same idea, when you are conscious of what's arising and what you're thinking about, you're able to let it go without becoming attached to it. As you develop your GOGI yoga practice, it becomes a new positive habit and can be a wonderful opportunity to replace old habits that you don't want in your life anymore. So let's do some GOGI yoga. So today we're going to be doing the practice sequence from Boss of My Brain, and I'm working from the GOGI Yoga for Small Spaces manual, which you can purchase yourself, and we will go ahead and get started right away. So Coach Teni, go ahead and lie down onto your back and bend your knees so that your feet are flat to the floor. And let your hands come rest onto your belly. And just allow your eyes to close. Go ahead and bring one hand to your belly and bring one hand to your chest. And take a few moments here to check in with yourself. And check in with Boss of My Brain. And how are you feeling right now? Think about the three parts of the brain. The smart part, emotional part, and old habit part. Which one is boss right now? You have a magnificent brain that operates solely under your instruction. You choose your thoughts. Nothing has control over your brain unless you willingly give that control away. The only thing that we have control is how we respond to life's challenges. Go ahead and repeat to yourself mentally, I have complete control over each thought that I create. I am the boss of my brain. Take just a few more moments here. And then from here, go ahead and just very gently roll yourself to your side. And when you press yourself up to seated, be careful to roll up the spine so that the neck and head are the last to come up. Good. And now make your way onto your hands and knees into a table position. Separate the knees a little bit, bring your big toes to touch, and press back into child's pose. Good, so child's pose is a wonderful pose for resting. It's a great pose for actually activating the smart part of the brain because the forehead is resting down onto the mat. And feel free to come back into child's pose at any point during our practice. We'll just take another breath or two here. If you find that it bothers your knees or your feet, you can always lift the hips up higher. If your forehead doesn't come easily to the mat, you could always stack your hands underneath your forehead, just as Teni's showing. We'll just take 1 or 2 more deep breaths here. From here, come on back into a table position. And our next pose that we'll take is called cat pose. If for any reason you've got some stuff going on with the knees and this isn't comfortable, you could always come to standing and bring your hands to your thighs and do the same practice. So from here, inhale, lift the chest, open the throat, and then exhale, round through the back and spine, drawing the chin towards your chest. Beautiful. And continue like that. Inhaling, open the throat, lift the chest, and exhale, rounding into the back and spine. And continue for about 3 to 5 more rounds. So again, if you're standing, you would just do the same thing. And if you were seated in a chair, you could do that same thing as well. And take 1 or 2 more rounds. Good. From here, we're going to move into downward facing dog. So tuck your toes under, lift your knees, and lift your hips. Okay. So if this feels like too much, if you look at this, you're like, I don't want to do this, go ahead and come on back down into child's pose. So again, this is child's pose. This is what we did right before cat pose. If down dog feels good, go ahead and come on back to downward facing dog. And we'll be here for a few breaths, so you can pedal through your feet, bend the right knee, stretch the left heel to the floor, bend the left knee, stretch the right heel to the floor. Good, look up at your hands, check that the hands are pointing, the index fingers point forward. Beautiful. Let your head release. And take a few more deep breaths here. So all of these forward folds, they're so great for boss of my brain. You can even just see how we've got the blood flowing right into the head, right into that smart part of the brain. And let's just take 1 or 2 more deep breaths. And then start to walk your hands back to your feet. Come into a forward fold. Most of us are going to need to bend the knees pretty deeply here to let the fingertips touch the floor. And if they don't make it to the floor, that's okay. You can put your hands on your shins or even your thighs. Good. And just let the head release. Yeah, and you can nod your head yes and shake your head no. And take a few more deep breaths here. And now from here, go ahead and roll up your spine. And just like you did when you came up from seated, we're just coming up 1 vertebra at a time so that the neck and head are the last to come up. Beautiful. And then go ahead and come stand in the center of your mat. Nice. And this pose is called mountain pose. So mountain pose is our boss of the brain pose. And we chose mountain pose to be the boss of the brain pose because it is a foundation pose in yoga and it is a foundational tool in GOGI. Feel your feet rooting down into the earth. Have a sense of the lower belly lifting up and engaging. Feel the arms releasing down. The head balanced at the top of the spine. Standing strong and grounded like a mountain. The key words for boss of my brain are the smart part, emotional part, and old habit part. Which one is boss right now? Mountain pose is a wonderful opportunity to really access that smart part of the brain. This is also a wonderful pose to practice outside of your yoga practice because people won't necessarily know that you're doing a yoga practice here, and you can come stand in your mountain pose and get that smart part of your brain activated before you maybe have a negative reaction. It's just a good way to kind of take hold of your emotions and your reactions. We'll take one more deep breath here. And then on your next inhale, go ahead and stretch your arms up towards the sky. And then as you exhale, bring your right arm down and reach your left arm up and over. Beautiful. So find your own rhythm and breath here. Inhale, the arms reach up. And exhale. Inhale, the arms reach up. And exhale. And take 3 more rounds on your own. Inhale, I have complete control over each thought that I create. Exhale, I am the boss of my brain. Inhale back to the center and bring the left hand down and reach your right arm up and over. And inhale, center. And exhale, bring your hands back down to your sides. Beautiful. All right, so go ahead and come on up to the top of your mat. And we're gonna move through a sequence now called the sun salutations. The sun salutations are a little bit more advanced. So if you are newer to the practice and you do find them a little bit intimidating, feel free to skip them, feel free simply to observe. You could also just do them mentally and imagine yourself doing them. We're gonna start with a couple rounds of what's called the half sun salutes. So most of you should be able to join us for these, and you could also just continue these for the full sun salute. So bringing the hands together at the heart, Teni will demonstrate from the top of the mat. I'll go ahead and demonstrate straight on. Go ahead and inhale and reach your arms up towards the sky. Exhale, fold forward and down. As you inhale, come up halfway, reaching the chest forward. And as you exhale, fold, let your head release. Inhale, reach your arms all the way back up. And exhale the hands to the heart center. We'll do that a couple more times. Inhale, arms reach. And exhale, fold. Inhale, come up halfway. Exhale, fold. And inhale, come all the way up. Exhale the hands to the heart. Good, so we'll add on now. This first round will be a variation, and then the second round will be a little bit harder. Inhale, sweep your arms up. And exhale, fold. Inhale, come up halfway. Now from here, bend the knees enough that the fingertips touch the ground. Step the right foot back into a lunge. And lower your right knee to the ground. Step your left knee back next to your right knee into a table position. Inhale into cat pose, lift the chest. Exhale, round through your back and spine. One more time, inhale, lift the chest. This time, tuck your toes under, press back to downward facing dog. Beautiful. Look forward between your hands and step the right foot forward. Step your left foot forward. Inhale, come up halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise up, reach your arms out and up. And exhale the hands to the heart. Good, feel free to repeat that round again. Otherwise, follow us. Inhale, arms reach. And exhale, fold forward and down. Inhale, come up halfway. Exhale, fingertips to the mat, step your left foot back. This time you could step your right foot back into plank pose. Feel free to take table and cat-cow again if this feels like too much for you. The knees can stay up or lower down. Exhale, slowly lower down like you're doing a push-up to your belly. We're gonna inhale, lower all the way down so your hips are on the ground, everything's on the ground. Untuck your toes, tops of the feet press down. Inhale into a cobra pose. So for cobra pose, you can press into your hands a little bit. You can lift up a little bit higher, but you want to keep your hips on the ground and the feet on the ground. Good. Take one more breath here. And now exhale, press back to downward facing dog. Beautiful. Let's take a couple of deep breaths here. This is a nice place to take child's pose if you want to take a child's pose. Activating that smart part of your brain to make smart decisions. And then come on back to either table position or down dog and step your left foot forward and step the right foot forward. Inhale, come up halfway. Exhale, fold. And inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale the hands to the heart center. All right. We're gonna go ahead and turn back to the top of the mat. Step the feet apart nice and wide. And we're gonna turn the right leg out and step your left heel back just a little bit. Nice. Then this next pose is called Warrior Two pose. Open up through the arms and bend deep into the right knee. So what you're looking for in Warrior Two is you're looking for that knee is on top of the ankle and that the knee is pointing right towards the second and third toe. You can always back off a little bit by not bending the knee as much or by bringing your hands to your hips. The back leg stays nice and straight. Soften your shoulders down. If you're reaching out through the fingertips, go ahead and gaze over them. Otherwise, gaze over your right shoulder. And we'll just take another breath here. And then bring your hands back to your hips, straighten through the right leg, turn the right leg in, rotate your left leg out, bend the left knee, and open the arms. So again, we're looking to keep that left knee right on top of the ankle, the knee pointing right to that second and third toe. You can firm through the back thigh and ground into the outer edge of your left foot. Feel length through your lower back. Draw the belly to the spine. Soften your shoulders and gaze over your front fingertips. I have complete control over each thought that I create. I am the boss of my brain. Go ahead and bring your hands back to your hips, straighten your leg, turn your left foot in, and step your feet back together. Good. So from here, take a couple breaths back in mountain pose. Check back in with the different parts of the brain, the smart part, the emotional part, and the old habit part. Which one is boss right now? Our next pose is a balancing pose, and it's a little bit of a challenging pose, and you're welcome to use a wall with it, and just try to have fun with it. So it's called tree pose. So step your feet in a little closer together, and now root down through your left foot, bend the right knee, and then you could even just keep your toes on the floor if you like. Let's bring the hands to the heart. Yeah, beautiful. If you feel good and balanced, you could lift your foot up to your lower leg, or maybe you grab your ankle and bring it up into your inner upper thigh. Hands could stay right at the heart center, or you could reach your arms up towards the sky. Palms continue to face each other as you open your hands up. Take 3 to 5 breaths. If you fall out, it's okay. It's just part of the practice. Okay, one more deep breath. And then bringing the hands back together and turning that right leg back in and lowering down. And then let's go ahead and switch sides. So root down through your right leg this time and turn the left leg out. Feel free to keep the toes on the floor. Bring the hands to your heart. And then you could lift your foot up to the lower leg or upper leg. And when you feel ready, stretch your arms up towards the sky. Let the hands open, palms continue to face each other. And again, take 3 to 5 deep breaths. One more full deep breath. And then bring the hands back together, back down to the center of your chest, and release. Back to mountain pose. I have complete control over each thought that I create. I am the boss of my brain. Bring your hands to your hips and step your feet nice and wide. We're gonna take just a nice forward fold now. The feet are parallel to each other, pointing forward. Ground into the feet, soften your knees just a little bit. Engage your lower abdominal muscles, lift the chest, inhale, and exhale, hinge from your hips and fold forward and down. Let your hands release to the floor, let your head release, and take 5 deep breaths. Good, so Coach Teni is very flexible. She was a dancer for most of her life. Most people can't fold this easily. If your hands don't touch the ground like this, don't worry about it. You can grab books, you can grab, if you have blocks, you can grab blocks, you can grab pillows, whatever you need to bring the floor a little closer to you. We'll take a few more breaths here. This is again a great pose for boss of my brain, bringing that fresh supply of blood down into the head. It's a nice way to kind of get a little relaxation in after the work that we've done in this practice. We'll just take one more deep breath here. And bringing the hands back to the hips. Inhale, come on back up to standing. And exhale, step your feet back together. And now go ahead and come on back to the very back of your mat and face the front of your mat. And inhale, reach your arms out and up like we did for the half sun salute. And exhale, fold forward and down. Go ahead, inhale, come up halfway. Now exhale, bend the knees enough that your hands touch the floor and walk your hands forward back to downward facing dog. Nice. From down dog, we're gonna add on an optional pose. You could come to plank pose. Inhale, plank. You'll notice Teni had to walk her hands a little bit forward. We'll take just a few breaths here. Plank pose is a great pose for strengthening the core muscles, strengthening your back. And as your body gets stronger, the mind gets stronger too, right? So you can even just be the boss of your brain right now, holding on for just one more deep breath. And then exhale, press back to down dog. Lower your knees back down to your mat and come back into child's pose. Again, feel the smart part of your brain resting onto the mat. Good, roll up your spine and come lie down onto your back. Bend your knees so that your feet are flat to the floor. And now press down into your feet and lift your hips up towards the sky. Good, so this is bridge pose. You can snuggle your shoulders beneath your back a little bit more, maybe clasp the hands together. And again, not everyone's gonna feel comfortable clasping the hands. If you're not comfortable with it, then don't do it. It's just an add-on to the pose. We'll take about 3 more deep breaths here. And then go ahead and lower your hips back down. We'll take a couple more rounds here. This is such a great pose for strengthening the back of the body. It's a great pose that can help if you happen to have chronic back pain. So we're pressing to the feet, lifting the hips. The weight is geared a little bit more into the heels, but the whole of the foot is on the mat. And you can think of pressing the tops of your arms, your shoulders into the mat to lift the chest up. Soften your jaw and release. One last round. When you're ready, press to the feet, lift the hips. Breathe through your nose, breathing that fresh oxygen into your lungs. Take 2 or 3 more breaths. And then lower yourself back down and hug your knees into your chest. Give your back a little massage in knees to chest pose. From knees to chest pose, we're going to take our head to knees pose. So this is a great pose for strengthening that abdominal center. And again, as we get strong in our belly and we get strong in our body, we can get stronger and become even more of the bosses of our own brains. Inhale fully, and as you exhale, curl up and bring your nose towards your knees. Inhale, release your head back down. Exhale, curl up, nose to knees. Inhale, back down. One more time, curling up, nose to knees. And inhale, back down. Good. From here, let's take the knees over to the right side. Open your left arm out to the left side. And take a few breaths here, just unwinding. Can gaze over your left shoulder, maybe let your eyes close here as we start to head towards relaxation. And now inhale, come back to the center and take your knees over to the left side. Open your right arm out to the right side. Gently take your gaze towards the right. And come on back to the center. Good. From here, hug your knees to your chest one last time. If there's any other stretches that you feel like in your body you could use right now, go ahead and take them. Otherwise, let's just stretch our legs out long onto the mat. If your back feels tender, it might be a good idea to put something underneath your knees. If you're at home, maybe a pillow or a blanket. You could also bend the knees if you don't have anything with the feet flat to the floor. But if you're comfortable, you can just stay right where you are. The arms can open by your sides, palms towards the sky, or you can let your hands rest onto your belly. Feel your jaw release and soften the muscles around your eyes. Once again, check in with boss of my brain. How are you feeling right now? Think about the 3 parts of the brain: the smart part, the emotional part, the old habit part. Which one is boss right now? Focus on the awareness of your natural breath. Imagine that you're walking on a beautiful beach. It looks almost deserted, and it stretches off into the distance as far as you can see. The sand is very fine and light, almost white in appearance. And the roaring sound of the waves is very soothing. You take a deep belly breath as you watch the waves flow. They are slowly coming in, breaking over each other, and then slowly flowing back out again. You look over the surface of the ocean all the way to the horizon, and then follow the horizon as far as you can see. I have complete control over each thought that I create. I am the boss of my brain. And now begin to wiggle your toes and your fingers and stretch your arms up and over your head. Taking your time, bend your knees and roll to your side. Maybe you rest here for a few deep breaths. Pressing yourself up to seated. Checking back in one last time to the smart part, the emotional part, the old habit part. Which one is boss right now? Bringing the hands to the heart center and bowing the chin to the chest. Thank yourself for taking this time to practice GOGI Yoga and the Boss of My Brain sequence.
If you would like more GOGI Yoga, you can purchase GOGI Yoga for small spaces at Getting Out by going in .org or on Amazon.